Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to BTM, the Basketball Time Machine, the show with former NBA players about former NBA players, also known as your favorite show on the internet. Before I will introduce today's guest, just a little reminder, if you want to hear more podcasts like this one, just make sure you hit that subscribe button and also click on the notifications button so you always get notified once we upload a new podcast. All right, so let's go. So today's guest played in the NBA from 1978 until 1995. Tree Rollins, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Tree, are you still watching today's NBA?
Not as much as I should be, but I am watching it. It's starting to get, pretty excited now with the playoffs going on. So obviously that's the best time to really watch the NBA. But yes, I do get my games in so I can have something to talk about at the barbershop.
All right. So you got a favorite team?
I like Philadelphia a little bit, but, obviously they're not going to do anything. But I guess if I got to pull down, my long shot is Milwaukee.
Nice.
So I call it a little glimpse of the OKC game the other day where the young fellow just went off. I mean, it's an amazing game that he had, hit the threes. So, that's exciting, and that's what I think the modern NBA Day fans like seeing now, the long ball. There's not a lot of the banging inside as when I came through.
Good that you mentioned it. That would have been one of my next questions. So how would you play in today's game?
I don't think I would be able to play in today's game. The big guy is gone. You saw that starting way back when they start calling the small forward of my generation became, the point forward. And then it came from the power forward to the shooting forward. Now the center don't exist anymore, the center position, even though I think some of the young guys down there are playing at the 5 spot. They're doing a pretty good job, but they few and far between. They're like when I came through, every team had a dominant big guy down inside, but you don't see that in today's ball, as you know.
Okay, doesn't it make it hard for you to watch today's game, especially because the big is missing?
Well, yes, it's a little bit hard if I stay in my generation mindset, but my understanding not only the NBA but today's business models, they're rapidly changing. They're rapidly rebranding themselves. So I think they're trying to keep up with what the fans want, what the public wants to see. So the public, I think, as I tell my friends at the barbershop, the public dictates. I feel, don't know this for sure, but I think the public dictates the way the NBA game is evolving. You got to keep fans in the seat. So if you still playing, the 80s generation of basketball, the fans don't enjoy that anymore. They're not going to come to the game, so you're not going to make the money. And the bottom line is, you got to make money. There's a lot of things got to be paid for, including the player salaries.
Yeah. So you grew up in Winter Haven, Florida. How was it like growing up over there?
Well, really, I was born in Winter Haven. I grew up in a little smaller town called Cordele, Georgia, which is in central Georgia. And, back in those days, growing up was not really growing up. Growing up was work every day, work every day, work every day. As I share sometimes with my friends that, I picked cotton. I did anything we could do to bring money to the family. And, guys tell me, well, you didn't do that. You're too young to do that. But we did everything. We picked cotton. We loaded watermelons. We pulled corn. We picked peas, cut okra. I mean, you name it, we did it. And that's what we had to do. I mean, those are tough times doing, segregation and all that going on. So those are very, very rough times. And I made it hard for everything, education-wise, in the whole nine. I got a late start in my education development because I was always in the fields working, and I didn't get a chance to really get a jump start on my education.
Wow. Do you think that is where you got your working ethic from?
Well, I think, the core of my work ethic, I would say yes. And, I like to think that even as tough as that was, it was beneficial to me as I grew up and as I developed as a man. And as you just mentioned, I think that carried over into my, athletic ability that I had to develop and just my stick-to-itness as I became a professional basketball player.
How did you get in touch with basketball then?
I got into basketball. Oh gosh, I had an older brother who ended up being about 6'2", 6'3". We used to play basketball just on the side of the house. I still can remember we would get an old bicycle rim and nail it up on a pole. That was our hoop. But the brother I'm speaking of, he went to college for 1 year for Valley State, and but he did not, make it to the professional ranks or anything like that. But that was the cheapest thing that we could do was play stickball and play basketball. So once we got into integrations in high school, believe it or not, I went through that. It was another way to just stay off the streets, because the streets back then, we think they're rough now. They was very tough then. So Mom did everything to keep us off the streets. So if you could get in an old gym somewhere and play basketball, it was a safe haven, and the racial tension wasn't as bad if you competing with and against the other race.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a favorite player back then?
Oh, back then, again, way back then, whoever we heard on the radio, believe it or not, we didn't have a TV. But it was the usual, the Wilt Chambers, and of course being in Georgia, I liked the Hawks players, the Lou Hudsons and people like that. But I couldn't say I really had a guy who I had to hear about or I had to see.
All right. Oh, crazy, man. Unimaginable in today's life, but you guys just live in a totally different time, which makes it even more impressive that you made it to the NBA.
Right.
Yeah. So you played college ball for Clemson University. How do you reflect on your college career today?
Clemson, the way I select Clemson, I visited a bunch of schools. Back then, you could visit as many schools as you could. And every weekend, I was off visiting a school. And it was twofold. One, to see what school I thought I would enjoy going to, attending. And also it was a chance to see a little bit of the United States, because I could not afford me to get out of Cordell to travel around. So every weekend, it was like a vacation. But I chose Clemson. They had a coach by the name of Tate Slock, a really good guy. Clemson at the time was a very small school. It's still small now, but back then it was only about maybe 10,000 students. And basketball was, not big, because as even now, football was still king there. But I had developed a great relationship with Tate Slock and his recruiting of me. And it was a small city like my city, Cordell. And believe it or not, I was a very shy guy. And I felt very comfortable with Tate Slock. And that's the reason I chose Clemson. And also it was a school that I thought I could get to play. And even though the ACC, just as now, was a very tough conference for basketball. But I thought I could get there and get to play and get some time on the court and get to develop.
When was the moment when you realized, hey, I might have a shot making it to the NBA?
I really did not develop that until about junior season at Clemson. Each summer, when I had an opportunity to go out of the country to play ball, I did. Travel every summer with some traveling team. Participated in the Pan American Games all the way back then in Mexico City. So even with that, it got me out of the country and got me more exposure, and to get to play against the best talent that was available. And so by playing with those guys, I guess in the Pan American game down in Mexico City, of course, we had the best college players available. And playing with them and being able to compete with them, it finally hit me, hey, this could be good. But as you know, even back then, the NBA was the last thing anybody wanted to do. I shared a story, like even when I was drafted by the Hawks and played my first 1 or 2 seasons with the Hawks, the game was tape delayed. We played the game at 7:30, and you get back home after the news, they played the game. So it wasn't nowhere close to what it is now. I mean, you hear about one game 2-3 weeks before the game ever played nowadays. So the popularity of the NBA, just was not there. My first contract was $75,000. I took 50 to defer the other 25, but it just was not a sport that one thought they could make a real living on, especially make a career out of it.
I'm not sure. Actually, I wanted to check just now. Was the ABA still around in '77, or were they merged?
ABA was still around. Matter of fact, I got contacted by the ABA team to come out early, and I chose not to. But the ABA was still around. I think the NBA had just merged about a year before. I think they merged in probably about 76, maybe, somewhere there. I'm not for sure on that. But yeah, the ABA was still around a little bit, but it disappeared when the NBA kind of brought it out.
Who was the best college player you ever played against? And I'm not saying who was the best college player, but who was the best big you played against in those days?
Best big in those days, my college days? Oh, my gosh. Even then, you had, like, Mitch Kupchak at Lynn Elmore. I mean, we had some pretty good guys, and those guys were pretty good. At Duke, I can't think of his first name, but Lord was pretty good. But the ACC was, it was tough to play at ACC. Of course, Clemson, we did not have a whole lot of talent, but we competed the best we could. But we came close, but never could get over the hump. And but North Carolina was good then. They always was good. With Phil Ford in the four corners, Walter Davis, David Thompson, Tom Burleson, Tim Starter, who also was a baseball player. But it was tight. John Lucas at Maryland, Lynn Elmore at Maryland, Tom McMillan. Oh man, you just go on and on. They had good players. They had very good players at ACC back then, as they do now.
Okay, so you can't pinpoint one.
Right.
All right. Sounds fair. So before the draft in 1977, what were your expectations? Did you have any feelings what pick you're going to be, or were you completely unaware of what's going to happen?
Okay, how different it was back then. I actually got a call from the Atlanta Hawks. I was in summer school at Clemson. I got a call like on that Thursday saying that we're thinking about drafting you. Okay. Now you got to like visualize today's draft is like a week before. Yes. You got the green room, you got the families, you got all this and that going on. It's really promoted. It's a showpiece. Okay, I got a call. I was in summer school. I got a call on the hall phone of the dorm. Obviously, there was no cell phones then. So I got a call. I was up in my dorm room. They knocked on my door and said, "You got a call." And the only phone was in the dormitory. Was downstairs at the front door. So I had to go down and get on the phone and like, who is this? Well, we're Atlanta Hawks and we're thinking about drafting you. Yeah, right. Okay. We'd like for you to come down Saturday, but they wanted me to come down the next day, which was Friday. And the draft was going to be on that Saturday or Sunday. So I drove down from Clemson to Atlanta, which is about maybe a 2-hour drive, 2.5 maybe. I signed my little contract. Well, I had to get an agent right quick, and one of the guys there in Clemson was an attorney. He said, "Well, he'll look it over for me." So he went down with me. He looked it over. I signed it, and I drove back to Clemson. They told me what time I had to be there in August for our rookie camp, and that was it. There's no frills, no nothing. That's how you want to say. That's how boring it was. It was just like, okay, I'll be there, and that was it.
Oh man. So you were drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. You were the 14th pick. Mm-hmm. Yes. So in your rookie season, you were coached by the great Hubie Brown. How important was he for your development?
Well, I'll tell you what. Hubie, for a young NBA player, he was great. And now after you have went through it a few times, maybe 3-4 years, then it wasn't so great. Because Coach Brown, he didn't change. Everything was by the book. Everything was about development. Everything had to be his way, by the way. And, he didn't change. If Tree Rollins could do something different than what his other siblings could do, he's not going to change. Tree Rollins got to do what Hubie Brown wants him to do. And so I think that was one of the push where I became more of a defensive basketball player than an all-around offensive basketball player. Because in college, I did both pretty well. But when I got, he said, I want you to do this. I want you to rebound, block shots, and that's it. So, he didn't say, I need you to score, 10 points and whatever. Because at the time we had John Drew, was our small forward. He was the scorer. And that's not going to change. Every team you looked at Hubie coach, his small forward and his shooting guard is going to do all the scoring. The point guard going to run the show. The power forward of those days was going to rebound. And the center was going to rebound and block shots. That's Hubie Brown. You go all the way back to his ABA days, same thing. But he was great for development because he was very, very keen on skills. The only thing I can say I did not like about his teaching skill was he had everybody doing the same thing. Now, that may sound great, but when you got a 7-footer, zigzagging 90 feet up and down the court, it doesn't make much sense because, you don't get to do that in the game.
Good point.
Yeah, but to tag along with that, after Hubie was gone and Fratello took over, and he brought Willis Reed in, I'll never forget the first practice of that training camp when Willis Reed came to the Hawks. Willis Reed kind of like stopped practice. We still was doing all what I call the Hubie Brown drills. And because Fratello, as you know, was an assistant of Hubie, so he was doing the same thing Hubie was doing. But Willis stopped practice, and he said, I'm going to take all the big guys down here, and I'm going to show them how to play bigs in the NBA. And I tell you what, that fast forward my development, I would say three seasons. I mean, it's just the things that he was teaching us from a big man point of view is like, it was unbelievable. We were just solving it up. And especially me, I just like, man, okay, this is easy now. It's easy and it became fun. And that when we started having the big and the little. And to this day, as I coach and train, I have my big little drills. And my last team, Chicago Sky WNBA, when I first got there, Sylvia Fowles, I walked in the gym. She came and she gave me the biggest hug. And she said, finally, somebody's here that understands me. And, and that's true. Bigs understand bigs, smalls understand smalls. And so, when we understand each other, it makes the job a lot more easier.
Interesting. Well, who better to learn from than Willis Reed, right? So.
Right, exactly.
So in your rookie season, you played 80 games and you averaged 7.6 points, 7 boards in 22 minutes. So how satisfied were you in general with your rookie season?
Well, my rookie season, again, I was just happy to be there. I was happy to be in the NBA, happy to be playing basketball. My rookie season was exciting for one of the biggest reasons because when we started the season, they predicted we would win 6 games.
Okay. You proved them wrong.
I was like, what? And I think, if I remember right, I think we ended up finishing 500. But yeah, I mean, it was predicted to win about 6 games, and that was it. And it was a scary feeling that first 2 weeks of the NBA season, because that's hanging over your head and your mind that we only predicted to win 6 games. How tough is this going to be? And my rookie season, man, you got Bob Lanier, you got Dave Cowens, you got Moses Malone, you got Caldwell Jones. I mean, it just Kareem Jabbar, Artis Gilmore. Like every night, it was like, oh my God, And so it was rough. It was really a fun season, growing up and playing against the guys that, you have read about and listened to on the radio and saw a little bit on TV, on television, but it was fun, but it was tough because it was tough playing against every night, playing against, those type guys I was a lot better than me at the time. And I was just learning from them, and as you sit on the bench, you try to watch and learn from that, from even the guys on your team and the guys you're playing against. You try to pick up little things, what they did and how you could improve on it and do it better. So It was a very educational couple of first years for me.
Yeah, the next couple of years, you were become one of the best defensive players in the league. In 82-83, you actually averaged 4.3 blocks, which is crazy. What was your secret becoming such a great defender? What was your mindset, or what made you so special that you were so successful when it came to being a defensive stopper?
Well, I think I finally put my head together with it, and along with Hubie, of course, but. And that even though I wanted to be that scorer, because the scorers get the headline.
Yes.
And it was no YouTube as we have today, and Instagram and Facebook and all the other ways to promote yourself. The scorers got the headline. And, so you had to, as an athlete, as a basketball player, you had to come up with what's going to keep you around. And there was a lot of other things that went into the mix. Back then, there was no guaranteed contracts. So, they could let you go for whatever reason. You didn't have your hair combed to the right side. They could let you go. So you had to buy into the philosophy or whatever coach you're playing for. So when Coach Brown said, I want you to block shots and rebounds, so you had to make up your mind, if I'm going to be here and stay here and be able to make a living in the NBA, I have to do what this coach wants to do. And I remember one time, this is his quick story for you. One time I was, teed off, like, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go talk to Hubie. So I went into Coach Brown's office, at his office. The secretary let him know I was here to have a meeting with him. He left me sitting out there for about 30, 40 minutes. And so as I was sitting in this office, right as you're facing him, behind his chair was a charts of all the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. And so I think he intentionally does this. He left me in there so I can see all the people who was out of the league on the depth chart trying to get back into the league. And you look up at that chart and you start seeing all these names like, well, maybe it's not so bad, maybe I need to get my butt back out here and practice some more and do what Coach Brown want me to do. And so I never forget. And he finally came in and asked what I need to talk about. And I said, well, no, Coach, I think I figured it out. I don't have anything to talk about. So, and then, when I look back on that, even to today, man, I think he intentionally did that. How many other players did he do that to,
Yeah, of course he did that on purpose. How smart is that?
Yeah, man. But Coach Brown's smart cookie, boy. I tell you, smart cookie. I still to this day enjoy listening to him. Sometimes I watch the game and turn off the TV and just have him, especially when he's still in radio, the same way with Rich Alabado. I like listening to Rich because Rich is the same way as Hubie. And, I was really blessed to work for both those guys. And I worked with Richie, both in NBA and the WNBA. But, so, a lot of my philosophy and a lot of my knowledge and training things come from the coaches that I played for and I worked for, because I was really blessed to play for a lot of good coaches, from Hubie to Chuck Daly, he was great. Yes. Brian Hill was great. Yes. So all those guys was really, really good coaches, man, and they really knew the game. And they didn't just show up. They really wanted to develop you. And I think if I just jumping around here, I think that's one of the things that is missing is today is that you don't see, at least I don't know if it still occurs, you don't see the coaching staff or the team get with that player and really try to develop the player. And I know, the ability for the players to hire their own trainers now is so easy now with the money that they're making now. But it really takes a lot away from the camaraderie and the unit of the team, because everybody have their own philosophy of how they train and what they should be doing on the court. So I think that's one of the things that I really, really miss about the old days and the way things was done in the old days.
Back to the 82-83 season, there was this guy, I don't know if you remember his name, called Dominique Wilkins, who joined your team.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure, but I seem to remember I saw an interview of you that's like so many years ago, where you said you called this guy Freakazoid. Is that right?
Yeah, Freakazoid. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that name?
No, that was a song back in those days called Freakazoid.
Oh, there you got it. Okay, of course.
Back in the disco days. Yeah, but Dominique, he was a great teammate. Matter of fact, I just recently talked with him about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I saw him up at the All-Star game in Charlotte. But Dominique was it was really before his time. Like Dominique and this generation of players, oh man, he would destroy them.
Yes,
because he had that ability to get up and down the court, and he had the ability to get off the floor. He had the ability to have a nice jump shot. So he would fit just perfectly with this generation of players.
Yes.
But you know, you find yourself sometimes even in the game, one of the 5 players on the court with him, find yourself watching him because he was such an entertainer.
Yes.
And his rookie year, he would come out for warm up and put on such a dunking exhibition until we have to always like watch him like, man, slow down, you're gonna be tired before the game starts. But he enjoyed entertaining people, man, and he was, obviously he was a great player. But he was a great teammate, man. Would do anything for you.
Do you remember, I think it was in 95 or 90, no, I think it was 95 when the 50 best players were selected and he wasn't on that list?
Yeah.
I was so shocked. Literally, I was a young boy, but still, I couldn't believe it. I was so, I can't even say it on the show, but I was so pissed.
Yeah, but
do you think that was fair?
Well, I think you got to throw that out of the window, fairness. And, I can go back to when they chose the top 50 ACC players. I mean, there's always going to be somebody that's on there that shouldn't be on there, or somebody that should have been on there. And, it doesn't take away from his greatness. And it was just the timing of it. I mean, it would have been a year early or a year later, he probably would have been on there. And, of course, they would have had to leave someone else off. And I heard Shaquille and Barkley get into a spat on TV the other day. And Shaquille told Barkley, well, you're a Hall of Famer, but you didn't do anything to be a Hall of Famer. You ain't won no championships.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough for Barkley, I'm sure, to hear that.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be the criteria. Championship shouldn't be the criteria, especially when you play in the 80s when the competition was that good. Oh, man.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to put that template on the same thing. Dominique, did he deserve to be one of the 50? Yes, he did. But who you gonna take off?
Oh, I don't even want to say on the show, but let me rewind 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That was my opinion back then. I felt Bill Walton shouldn't have been on that list. I think from his potential, he definitely deserved to be there. But because he was injured and his career was cut short, because that, to me, that would have also meant, okay, Grant Hill could have been on that list a few days later. Tracy McGrady, all those guys who had so much potential, but their career got short because of their injuries.
Right.
And I feel if your career gets cut short, you shouldn't be on that list. Also, Shaquille shouldn't have been on that list because he only played for 3 years until then.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can go on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on. So, I don't know how they chose those 50, but I'm sure it was a hair-pulling session to come up with that last 5 anyway.
Yeah, why doing it at all?
Yeah. That's a good point there. Why he would do it? Because you're going to offend somebody and you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. I mean, it's a no-win situation when you do that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be one of the people that had to sign off on it and say, yeah, this is it. So I would want to be that person.
Back to your Hawks team. You guys had some of the greatest battles against the Boston Celtics. I remember back in the early 90s when I was buying videotapes. I mean, I live in Germany, so I didn't see the games live, obviously, but I bought the games many years later to see the games. You guys had some incredible battles. Do you feel that if it wasn't for the strong competition in the Eastern Conference back then, you guys would have had a shot to make the finals?
Well, yeah. I mean, all roads to the finals went through Boston. And, even today I look back and I think back at, like, what could we have done differently to get past Boston? And, I can't come up with one or two things that we could have done differently because it was a battle. I mean, all the game was battles. And, especially the last one with Bird, Dominique shootout. I mean, one more basket or one less basket, the other team wins. And, even at the very last seconds of the game when Daddy Ainge fouled Dominique, who had the ball, because he knew Dominique had a better 50% chance of making a basket did. So it was a smart thing that he did to put Dominique to the free throw line.
Yes.
But it was great battles. It was all great battles. And, I would never forget those series. And, I remember the one time we had to get past Detroit, and we got past them finally, but, Boston was still waiting that Sunday afternoon. Yes. Boston was right there waiting on us. And, we had the battle. But it was just great battles, and I don't see that anymore in the league today for whatever reason. I don't know why that doesn't come about. I mean, guys move around so much now until you can't really get those rivalries anymore. I don't think those days probably gone.
Yes. After receiving heavy minutes with the Atlanta Hawks, suddenly your role changes once you landed on the Cleveland Cavaliers and you were playing for Lenny Wilkins.
Right.
How difficult was that for you?
It was very difficult. I mean, the whole deal of that, I was a free agent. And the team, Atlanta Hawks, they went off to Russia for some exhibition games, and I couldn't go because I was a free agent. And so I'm sitting back in Atlanta and watching, every day watching who signed who there, blah, blah, blah. This team, that team just picked up a center. That one team I can't go to. I'm in contact with Fratello. He's telling me just wait till we get back. And, but teams are filling their spots, filling their roster. And so down, talking with my agent, he said, well, we got to make a move. And so all of that is on the fire. And so all of a sudden he said, well, dang, you got to go ahead and pull the trigger. So, after 12 seasons in Atlanta, where I was very comfortable, loved the city, loved the fans, I chose to go to Cleveland. And I know they had a very good center there, Brad Daugherty. Yes. But I said to myself, well, I could go there, they had a good team, and I could still possibly win the championship with Cleveland. So, Wayne Emery was calling me, saying, well, we gotta make a decision. And, talk to your wife. She said, don't matter. There ain't no help there. So, you pull the trigger. You change teams.
Well, the good thing is you landed on a really good team, as I already mentioned. Yes, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, John Hartwell Williams, Mike Sanders, Prime Mark Price, one of the most underrated point guards ever. Ron Harper. So you guys had a really, really good team. But again, the East was loaded.
East was loaded.
You guys played against the Chicago Bulls. I think it was in 1989 or 1990 when Jordan hit the buzzer?
Was that? Shot? Yeah. And the craziest thing about that season and Jordan making the shot, We played at Atlanta, I think, about a week before regular season ended. Mark Price, he injures his finger, I think it is. And he decided at the end that he wasn't going to play that first game of that series. So we didn't have Mark the first game. And but the craziest thing about that is that we had beaten Chicago 6 straight times in regular season.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it should have been a wash, you know. It was like, you know, we're looking forward to playing Detroit. Then, you know, looking to go past Detroit to, I think, L.A. at the time. But as you know, as history has it, and as it happened, you know, Jordan makes the biggest shot of his career. And one of the biggest shots of his career. He went on to do that again.
A couple of times, yes.
Yeah. But it was just an incredible shot. Everybody in the world knew Jordan was going to get the ball. And he got the ball. Some kind of way he got the ball. And Lenny had called a timeout, had our strategy down. And I think the only thing, as you second guess after you just saw the game and the conclusion of the game, you can go back and say, well, we should probably have done this. Only thing I disagreed was now looking back on it, but not at that time, because I would have made a suggestion. But we didn't put anybody on Pittman as he was inbounding the ball. So he had a clear shot of, picking Jordan out. And Jordan, dipped to the goal and he popped back. And, when he dipped to the goal, you think, okay, here comes the alley-oop. So you got to go with it. And, as smart as Jordan were, he dipped straight to the goal and popped back. Pittman, all he had to do was pretty much hand him the ball. Now, if we would have had somebody on him, guarding him, shuttling him, maybe like a Larry Nance or even myself, I mean, he would have had that open look. But yes. But that's what happened. And as they say, the rest is history. And we go home for the summer.
Yeah. Well, you're coach too. I got a question. Because the shot that Jordan took, it looked like Jordan jumped up. Craig Elo also jumped up, and because Craig Elo doesn't have that much hang time, Jordan obviously was longer in the air. You guys had such a great defender in Ron Harper.
Right.
Why did your coach decide to let Craig Elo guard Jordan in such a critical moment?
Man. I mean, there's a lot of personalities that, I really don't want to get into on that. And but there was a lot of personalities going on the whole season. Lenny, he loved Craig Elo, I'm sorry. And, as you know, everybody know, Ron Harper should have been the guy on there. But there was a lot going on that year from management, Wayne Emery and Lenny not really getting along. And, I never forget, I had one meeting with Lenny because I, wanted more playing time and felt I was going to love playing time. And I think he was even playing Chris Dudley in front of me, which I knew I was a better player than Chris.
Oh, okay.
Nothing against Chris, but I was a better player.
Yes.
And I met with Lenny, asked him about how can I get more minutes. And he told me flat out and looked in the eye and said, I didn't bring you here. Wayne brought you here. And so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. So with all that going on, and that whole last game, Jordan making the shot while I wasn't Ron Harper on Jordan instead of Craig Elo, I mean, it was so much going on that, people don't really understand and know what's going on with any situation, with any team at any time. But it's not always what you see. It's a lot more to it. As they say, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real story is the bottom of the iceberg.
It's funny. If I look at the teams that you played for, you only played for really, really interesting teams. You played for the Bad Boys, which must have been a pretty interesting ride.
Well, that with Detroit was easy. We had Brendan Sir there, who had came from Atlanta. People don't realize that when Brendan Sir left Atlanta and went to Detroit, he took our defense. And so Detroit was known as the Bad Boys, but it was really the Atlanta Hawks defense. I mean, that's the way we play. I mean, no layup mentality. You know, you're not getting a layup, especially in the playoff. So Brendan took that philosophy to Detroit. So Detroit, you know, propelled it into the bad boy mentality, which was great. But for me, it was easy playing for Chuck and playing with Brendan and playing with the quote-unquote bad boys because, you know, all of them, they knew me, they knew my reputation as a physical player. So I fit right in with them. So it was no problems. You know, it's just tough getting time with James Edwards and Mill and Beer and John Sally and Dennis Rodman. Like, shit, how am I going to get a minute in here, you know? So I couldn't get no time on the court, but it was interesting practices, though.
Then you also played 2 years for the Houston Rockets. You actually played with my favorite big of all time, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Right.
And after that, you played for the Orlando Magic.
Right.
This is something really interesting because that is something that I found out only 2 years ago. I think the documentary about the Orlando Magic, this a Magic Moments in Time or something like that. You know this one?
Right.
Yeah. I found out that you were a player's coach, like you were playing plus also being an assistant coach.
Right. Yeah, I was the last one to do that in NBA history. What happened with that? Shaquille gets injured, and you know when I first came to Brian Hill, who was head coach, we met. And he talked to me about what my plans were when I'm planning on retiring, and he kind of convinced me. We got this little young guy down here by the name of Shaquille O'Neal. You know, you could come and mentor him and be a coach to him, and that would be a great start for your coaching career. I mean, we put it on paper. He like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's great. They got that little young kid down there, Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah, I can work with him, and that would be super. Okay, so I get to Orlando, and I would practice every day because I could mentally, with my mental ability as a basketball player, I could slow Shaquille down. You couldn't stop him, but you could slow him down. And at the same time, I'm teaching him. And, to this day, I mean, we got a pretty good relationship. But so he gets injured. And when they tell us he's not going to play, and like I said, I had been practicing the whole time with the team. And I didn't have the title of as a player coach at the time, but I would go out and practice because you need another big guy. We had guys like Greg Kite, Larry Custodiak, Jeff Turner. I mean, those guys could not slow him down. But so I would practice every day. And but anyway, so we get the call from the trainer that Shaq won't be able to play. Okay, I'm at home getting my game day rest because after shooter, I would rush home, grab a bite to eat, get a quick nap, and be back at the arena to work the guys out pregame workout. So I get a call just as I got home about, I don't know, must have been about noon. And Brian say, hey, what do you think about playing? And we had been joking around with Bob Hill was another assistant. We always would joke, hey, Tree, you better than our backup. You should be playing. We just had to joke around. But, it was just joking. And so when I got the call from Brian, he said, you need to get back because you're going to play tonight. Okay. I said, well, I'm shocked, right? I'm not prepared mentally to be a player going up against Hakeem Olajuwon, Wow. And so not only that, now here's the other kicker. And also, you got to get an agent. Okay, I had a coach agent. I didn't have a player agent. So now in order to do the deal, I got to have a player agent. Because as you know, coaches can't represent players. I mean, coaches agent can't represent players and coaches. So now I got to reach all the way back and find my player agent.
No way.
and sign them to agree. I mean, this is happening like boom, 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 boom. This got to get done. And so obviously we got it all taken care of. I get to the locker room. Our trainer has already ordered a jersey with Rollins on it. He said, "What number you were?" I said, 30. That's the number I used to have. So when the players get there, they see me in full uniform, and Shaquille was the biggest jokester, probably still is at that time. He was the biggest jokester you ever want to be. Fun jokes. And so he thought it was a big joke. He thought it was some kind of promotional thing that, the assistant coach going to dress out and be, he's man or something. I don't know. So, game started, I got jump ball. And I go out, and I'll never forget, during timeout, I would not sit down because I knew if I sat down, I wouldn't be able to get back up. So the good thing, I'm playing against a guy who I have just been practicing with, for the last season. And, Hakeem, he's another funny guy. And he sees me for jump ball, he just starts laughing. like, what is this, right? And it was a big, fun first 5 minutes. Then obviously it kicks in, competition kicks in. Now you got to play. But long story short of it, we went on to win the game. So now I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And of course when Shaquille got back, it was no big deal. All I did when I give him a couple of minutes, and he goes right back in, and I go back to my assistant coach's duties. But I went into Brian Hill was great as a head coach. He told me, don't worry about the coaching meeting, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't want anyone, especially Brian, to think that I thought I could be a player again, because now I am an assistant coach. This is what I wanted to be. That's what I was comfortable with. So I would go to the coaches meeting early in the morning and then prepare for practice, go out and practice, and obviously play the games. But then we ran into a situation where things wasn't going well in the locker room, as we call it, with the players. So now the players want to have a players-only meeting. Okay. So I tell you, but now I am a player and a coach. So I told the players that, I'm not coming to the meeting. And so now you got to be there. You're a player, you got to be there. So now you got to go back and talk to your head coach. Well, Brian, I'm going to go to this meeting, but you got to understand, I'm not going to really share anything that went on with the players only meeting to the coaching staff. And man, that's a really intimidating situation to be in.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because you want to be loyal to your head coach, and some things need to be, said that happen that the coaching staff need to know about. I knew in myself, me, I just knew I would have shared it with the coaching staff, or my loyalty was to the coaching staff. And some of the stuff that went on in the players only meeting leaked out to the press. And so obviously, who do you think they looked at?
Oh, shoot.
They looked at Tree Rollins. But I never did go back, because as a coaching staff, we knew who leaked it to the press, but I never did go back and tell my players who leaked it, because it could have been chaos. It could have been chaos. And but that finally ended because as you recall, my second year of being a player coach is the year we had the lockout.
Yes.
And so during the lockout, I joke around the office was, okay, it's lockout. Players can't talk to coaches. So Brian said, well, you can't talk to yourself anymore. So that was the big joke. But that was fun. It was very, very, very challenging. But again, it was another blessing as getting that experience to do that. I mean, getting that. I mean, that's something that you can't put on paper, so to speak.
Yeah. Man, you had a great career. 1,156 games. So you officially retired from playing basketball quite a while ago. You had a great or you still maybe have a great coaching career, but now you joined the Retirement Association. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Right.
So what's that all about?
It's the National Basketball Retired Players Association. Okay, we have about 12 chapters. And it encompasses it includes, I should say, the Harlem Globetrotters, also the WNBA players, the ABA players, retired players I'm speaking of, and the NBA retired players, of course. And what we try to do is, number one, we try to make sure we locate and find and get in contact with all the retired players. And because there's so many things that are going on that the retired guys need to do. I mean, some players just do they stint with the NBA, they disappear, you never hear from them again. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things as far as benefits that you're entitled to. Like the NBA now has given the retired guys health insurance for life. And, that's a big deal. We fought and fought for it for a long time, but we finally have it. And you'll be amazed how many retired guys don't know that they have free health care. Not necessarily free, but they have that benefit of health care. And so that's one of the major projects we're trying to do now is locate all those guys and let them know that of the benefits they are still entitled to. Also, more importantly, is that we get out to the community and let them know that we're still relevant. We're still able to get out and visit even little elementary schools. We put on camps and clinics with the junior NBA. Just
Nice.
anything that we can do to really continue to get back in the community and help out. And we also try to mentor even the current players now, even though a lot of agents don't want us talking to them. But, just as Willis Reed and I never forget when I was youngster with Atlanta Hawks was a guy by the name of Ollie Johnson that played small forward. And I would sit next to Ollie every game. And he would tell me, he said, young fella, I'm going to teach you how to play NBA ball. So he was mentoring me the whole time. And so, we try to do that, not necessarily teach the current players how to play basketball, just, alert them to some of the ups and downs and the challenges that you're going to have to deal with as just a basketball player, not your social life, but just as a basketball player. Some of the things you need to be aware of that they didn't teach you in school. And so we just do little stuff like that. And also it's a great chance to reconnect with some of all the guys you played against and with, especially at the NBA All-Star Weekend. We have meetings there. We also have the Legend Conference, which this year is going to be in Vegas in July, I think it is. And just a way to get back and continue to give back. And you don't hear that word a lot anymore in this generation about giving back. And because this generation is me. But we still try to give back. And we have been really blessed, even though it was hard. In my early days, it was hard in the NBA. But you see what the NBA has blossomed into. And guys like me and the guys before me, I mean, we're part of the reason that it has grown to where it's grown, and for the success that it has going on right now. And the only thing we're hoping to do is to convince the guys of this generation to keep it going. Keep it going. Do all you can do to keep it going. And so that's what the NBA Retirement Player Association is mostly about, is giving back.
Tree Rollins, thanks a lot for being on the show, man.
Okay, man. Okay, I enjoyed it. And you take care of yourself.